Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Unfiltered Conversations on the Cleveland TV in Diaspora. I am Lola Oladokun. Please remember the Cleveland TV is an online television platform committed to bringing Africans in the diaspora and at home together to celebrate their achievements and successes. Today on Unfiltered Conversation, we're talking about tourism and business in Africa, and the topic for today is the social impact of tourism in Eswatini. The social impacts of tourism in Eswatini. And I have a very fantastic guest on the show today. Joining me in the conversation is Mr. Moses VILAKATI, who is the Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs in Eswatini. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good afternoon, all, and I'm pleased to be part of the audience today from the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Yeah, so how do you say hello in Eswatini?
We say Sawubona. Sawubona. Yes, it's the same as the Zulu language, yes.
Nice.
Are you familiar with Zulu?
Yes, we are familiar with the Zulu language. Welcome. I hope to have an interesting conversation with you today regarding tourism in Africa and especially how it relates to Eswatini. So in starting the conversation, can you kindly introduce yourself as well as your country to the world?
I look forward to the presentation. Yes, my name is, as you have rightly pointed out, I am the Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Eswatini is a country in the Southern African region, which is completely surrounded by Mozambique to the east and South Africa to the west. The country was formerly known as Swaziland. And when we became of age, when we were 50 years, we celebrated 50 years of independence, we reverted to what we are because we are a Maswati. And the country was known as Eswatini before we were colonized. But because they couldn't pronounce Eswatini, they called us Swaziland, the land of the Swazis. This country has 3 regions in one, or climatic regions in one. It has, it rises from the low veld in the east to the high veld on the west. And we are overwhelmingly known for our friendliness, guaranteed safety, and I still believe unparalleled hospitality in Southern Africa. We have a slogan that talks to royal experience because we're talking about our unique identity in Africa as a monarch with an authentic culture which has existed for over 400 years. And we get most of our tourists from South Africa and Mozambique. But we do get tourists from Europe, particularly from Germany, the UK, France, the Netherlands, and even Spain and Italy. The other thing that of note is that we are the 7th fastest growing economy in terms of GDP in Africa. This is from World Bank records. And we are the first on ease of trading across borders. And in 2019, we were listed as one of the world's top countries to visit by globally renowned travel agency, Lonely Planet. And we are amongst the first to be awarded a safety stamp after the COVID pandemic. Now, if you look at Eswatini, we have lots of unique features that are of importance. One of which is that we have the largest granite rock formation in the world, and it's called Sibebe. I hope you can pronounce it, Sibebe. This for us it's an important rock. It attracts lots of tourists, but we also have breathtaking sceneries of our majestic mountain valleys, the forests, and a fascinating mix of global festivals, such as our well-known MTN Bushfire Festival and our traditional festivals which occur right throughout the year. I can attest to you that we have got friendly people who are warmly welcoming. The country is small, but it has got a very, very big heart. When it comes to our major features or pillars on tourism, we boast of adventure, culture, wildlife, and even natural beauty. To that extent, we always warmly welcome people to come to Eswatini, particularly for our cultural events. In August, for example, we've got Reed Dance, where all the young maidens join together to sing and dance and be taught how to become future persons in the country. During that period, we receive over 50,000 tourists who come and occupy our hotels. And again in December, now it's no longer the ladies, it's the young men and the older men who come for what we call an intwala. This is a period where we taste our first fruit and we all join together to dance and be gracious that God Almighty has taken good care of us. The other feature is of importance to us is our wildlife. We are very boastful in that one, in that you can see our big five within a day. And that attracts a number of tourists. When it comes to tourism in Africa, we rank in the top 10 in attracting tourists from all over the world. But we also have those who have an interest in bird watching. We've got close to 300 species of birds that exist within our country. Coming to the arts, I've already mentioned about bushfire. This happens around the month of May. We are eagerly waiting for it, where over 30,000 to 50,000 tourists visit our country. It has been named as the top music festival by BBC. It has been hailed by CNN as the top African music festival to see. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen nothing, if I were to put it that way. The other features that we see are that hiking and game viewing has gained a lot of attraction. When we interview people, international visitors into the country, they always talk about the cultural and historical activities as amongst their topmost that attract them to come to the country over and over. What we also see is that it's the visitors that have been there that usually then attract other visitors and bring them to the country. We have also aligned our visa regime to that of our neighboring countries, so that if somebody comes to, say, our neighboring country, say South Africa, he will be able to also come to Eswatini. But also, almost all of the European countries are visa exempt. And if you do not have a visa, you are able to get it on arrival. Just last week, of importance, we just launched our maiden airline to connect to most of our Southern African countries, which means if you come from Europe, you come from America, you can now get to Eswatini within an hour. We connect to Cape Town, we connect to Harare, we'll be connecting to Durban, and soon we'll be connecting to other African countries. And to us, this is a mileage that we believe will help us to go from strength to strength. The other feature is that we're just completing an international convention center. Hello?
Hi, I can hear you.
International convention center, which can accommodate up to 7,000 people.
Yes, I'm still here. We can hear you.
Oh, you're still there? Okay.
Yes, we're here.
We are finishing up a convention center which will be ready by next year. It can accommodate up to 7,000 people for mainly for the issue of meetings. At the same time, what we've just established is the merging of parks, where we used to have parks which are parallel to each other, but we saw that there is a need to actually remove the fence within those parks so that the wildlife can move freely. This will be, once this is done, we'll be able to accommodate up to about 82,000 hectares of land with exotic wildlife, as well as increase the big five that we have, because then there will be free space to move from place to place. Yes, I believe that Eswatini's tourism is very good for the tourism sector. It's also good for the for employment, since it employs close to 10% of the population. But we want to see up to 15% of the population, or even 20%, being employed through the tourism sector.
All right.
Maybe I can also add the issue of the socio-economic importance. Yes. Most of the women in the country are involved in handicraft, which helps a lot in generating revenues for them. But also, we are seeing more and more hotels springing up, particularly after the effects of COVID-19, because COVID-19 affected us a lot in that some hotels opened, but we're seeing new ones coming up, particularly in the ecotourism space, which we believe will take us even to greater heights.
Right. So Eswatini sounds like a very beautiful place to visit. I did hear you say that Eswatini has a visa-free policy for almost all European countries. So which African country has a visa-free policy to come into Eswatini apart from the countries within Southern Africa?
Most of the countries in the north, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, even in the west, Tanzania, Kenya, etc., are visa exempt to come to Eswatini. We have got others that only receive visa on arrival, but we are actually reviewing that, because our aim is that all of the African countries must be visa exempt, because I think Africa, intra-Africa tourism is very, very important for us, which is why we established this airline, because we believe we want to penetrate almost all of Africa, east and west, but also Eswatini because it's part of COMESA. COMESA, we are selling lots of sugar, particularly to West Africa, to West Africa as well as East Africa. So we want all of those countries to be able to access Eswatini at ease without the visas.
Right. Okay, so what would you say is the most important thing about tourism to Eswatini and the rest of Africa? Why is tourism very important?
Tourism for us is very, very important. One, it creates job employment for our people. As I have alluded, that 10% of the employment in the country comes from the tourism sector. Two, it also brings us closer to our to people who have never seen the beauty of Eswatini.
But we're going to go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
Let's sell on your behalf. If your item sells on our web shop, you pay a 10% commission plus the transaction fees, and you get the rest. Register now at www.shop.clevenard.com. Start uploading your product and services. We can really sell it on your behalf so you can carry on working on the things important to you. Are you looking to sell any type of product or service and you want to avoid the hassle involved? Selling can be an arduous and time-consuming process. At Clevenard Super Shop, we will be happy to take over the workload of promoting or selling your products or services. All you need to do is to register at www.shop.clevenard.com, enter your shop or vendor information, and then start uploading your product and services. We will do the selling. Now, be ready to get more sales and awareness. Start making more money from your business with Clevenard Super Shop by partnering with us today.
Welcome back. Please remember to sign up on www.clevenard.com to join our growing family. Before the break, we were talking about the importance of the importance of tourism to Eswatini and Africa at large. And I'm still in conversation with Mr. Moses VILAKATI. Sir, can you please talk to us about the importance of tourism to Eswatini and to the rest of Africa?
Yes, tourism is very important to Eswatini as well as Africa. If you look at the tourism numbers, particularly after COVID, because COVID affected Africa, affected Eswatini big time, such that jobs were lost and some of the hotels were closed. So now we need more tourists than before in Africa as well as in Eswatini. And we are saying Africa is ready for you. We are saying Eswatini is ready for you as tourists. In fact, when you look at other countries in Africa, the major employment sector is the tourism sector. For Eswatini is about 10%, but in other countries it goes all the way up to 50%. So we really need tourists to come to Africa, and don't forget that Eswatini is ready to accept you as tourists.
Fantastic. So what would you say are the good and bad things about tourism? We know that tourism produces or gives the government more money or increases the country's GDP. But then what other advantages is there to tourism, and what are the bad things about tourism as well?
Yeah, the good things I think we've highlighted from an employment perspective, to know other countries as well as know what the offerings from those countries are. When it comes to the bad in tourism, hey, that's a difficult one. But in other countries, you find that we end up maybe over-exploiting our environment. With me, tourism is very important, and it's a good thing to have all over the world.
Tourism is a good thing to have all over the world. That's very important. So what would you say then is the future of tourism? What would tourism look like in the future?
The future of very bright, not only in Africa, not only in Eswatini, but the world over. Nowadays, there are lots of products that are being exploited and that are being developed. For example, the issue of ecotourism, the issue of agritourism, the issue of health tourism, all of these are coming up. And nowadays, some people are even talking about space tourism. We know it's very expensive, but at some point, it's going to attract or will have attraction for some people who might want to visit the moon, visit the stars, and who knows? The sky is basically the limit. So the future of tourism is very, very bright. Even in this country, we're already trying to exploit a number of products. We are doing some activations to make sure that on an annual basis or every 2 years or so, we can have new products which tourists can then enjoy rather than the same that they saw 2 years, 3 years back. And that to me is very, very important so that the tourists can enjoy their visitations to Africa, particularly to Eswatini.
Right. I heard you talk about ecotourism and space tourism. What are those, and do you think they're good ideas?
I personally think these are very good ideas. We need to exploit them. We need to understand what is behind the moon, what is there in the moon. We need to understand what is there in the mountainside, what is there in as we hike along the mountains, what is there underneath the water, what is there when we're doing water rafting, what is there when we do canopy cars in our villages, what is there when it comes to milking of a cow. Some people have never milked a cow, so we need to exploit those so that they can be able to milk a cow by hand. Some people have never even collected eggs. They think eggs are just from the supermarket. Let's exploit all of those. These are very, very important. Bird watching is becoming prominent also. And I think these are some of the products that we need to exploit as we push tourism to greater heights. With us, we have also realized that the issue of biodiversity is very, very important. To that extent, we're now planting a lot of trees. During the tree planting day, we set up a very huge target, which is equivalent to the population, which we are saying to people, let them experience a large number of trees and large number of tree species so that they can understand how it grows, what are its benefits, etc., etc. The other aspects is the issue of cleanliness, which we have embarked on, and we're seeing great strides, because whenever a tourist comes, he wants to see or find a very, very clean country. So for me, the issue of products, differentiations, and other attractions are very, very important to make sure that the tourists can enjoy the touring of various countries one way or the other.
Right. So, okay, would you then say that has Eswatini recovered from the COVID-19 scourge?
Yes, COVID-19 really affected us very, very, very terribly. We have a number of hotels that closed, and some of them are still closed. But what we are seeing as a recovery strategy is that new ones are coming on board, and some of those that had closed have now opened. So we've basically recovered. In fact, we're already seeing close to 60% of our tourists coming back into the country. And with the new activations, with the various festivals, we think that this will increase to pre-COVID conditions, where we had lots of tourists coming in, particularly from our neighboring countries, as well as from Europe. We are saying, Europe, we're waiting for you. Africa, Eswatini is waiting for you. Come and enjoy what we used to enjoy before COVID. And we don't want to see COVID again. It must just go to wherever, but not to come to Eswatini. We are basically saying we're now recovering, even though we're not yet 100%, we've not yet reached 100% recovery.
But you're on the right path to full recovery.
Yes.
What do you think of sex tourism? Do you think it's ever going to go away?
Yeah, that's why I say it is a difficult one. In a number of areas, the issue of triple S, which is sand, sex, and I can't remember the third one. It's really paramount. So I don't see it going away, because others come for that. We I don't think we can stop people doing that because I think they're above 18, they are adults. So yeah, it's going to be there. Even though I have my reservation somewhere, but I don't think it's going to go away because some countries are having it as top priority. In Eswatini, it is not top priority.
Okay, so what is top priority in Eswatini?
The topmost for us is our cultural festivals, followed by arts. Then there is the sceneries, or particularly the hiking, which people undertake. So those are what. It's culture, arts, as well as wildlife. Sorry, those are the top three for us.
Culture, arts, and wildlife. Right.
In the 21st century's technological advancement, we all seek opportunities to move and network with the emerging space. Introducing Clevenard blog and event posting. Do you think you have some interesting materials, good content, articles, and stories? Then feel free to publish them on Clevenard blog and events page, just as team of our writers are doing presently. By blogging on Clevenard's blogs and events, you benefit from our reach and network. There are constant stream of people visiting our social platform, and we have figured out just how to distribute our contents. This means you can basically skip the line and get access to a big audience from day one. Furthermore, we can help you get in touch with important people for projects with possibilities of translating your content into other languages and republishing them on Clevenard. This helps preserve and protect your content from getting lost. What's more, you also get to be part of our team with access to our network and lots of exclusives, behind-the-scenes information. And of course, you get full credit for everything you do, which brings you popularity and make extra income. Sign up now on clevenard.com and start blogging to your advantage. Please see the tutorial video on how to blog or post events on Clevenard Blogs and Events. For more information, contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com. Clevenard, your blogs, your identity.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm still in conversation with Mr. Moses VILAKATI, and the topic we're discussing is the social impact of tourism in Eswatini, and this is Unfiltered Conversation on the Clevenard TV in Diaspora. You can join our growing family by subscribing or signing up today on www.clevenard.com. It's www.clevenard.com. I was asking Mr. Moses that would you say that tourism helps us understand each other better?
Oh yes, tourism helps us to understand each other better. You know, if I had not traveled to other countries, I wouldn't know about how they live, their culture. In fact, I visited a number of African countries where I even tasted their dishes. Mm-hmm. You know, you taste a dish, you have that affinity, you remember it even 5-10 years after you have left that place. The issue of our cultural exchanges, those are very, very important because that helps us to understand each other better. But also in terms of our behaviors, I now know which country in Africa behaves in a particular fashion. Similarly in Europe, I know how to handle myself when I'm in Europe in particular countries. So tourism really enables us to understand each other better, understand how we behave, understand how we live. So for me, tourism is the best way of ensuring that countries can be in touch with one another, communities can be in touch with one another, countries can also share those experiences which can then be duplicated probably even in other countries.
That's very, very interesting. I'm going to ask you about some of your best and worst experiences when you've traveled. But before then, when we talk about tourism, people we often associate it with something that is very expensive. So would you say tourism is only for the rich people?
No, 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 no. You know, COVID taught us something as countries. One, it says, or it said that we should now look at domestic tourism because that's very, very key. And in fact, what we then did was we had lots of activations on domestic tourism because what is tourism? Tourism is actually moving just from one place to the next. You become a tourist because that's a new venture. So you need not be rich, but you can easily get to a particular place. So you become a tourist. Yes, of course, when it comes to visitation, flying, etc., then it becomes expensive. But if you are able to book timely, you are able to link with maybe your brothers and sisters in various countries, particularly so that you can be able to get very good accommodation at reasonable rates, then it becomes affordable to all. Not for the rich, but it's for us all so that we can have that experience. You go to a country once, that experience will last in you for as long as you live.
All right. So, can you tell us about some of your best and worst experiences when you've been a tourist?
Hey, I think you need to repeat the question so that I think properly.
Okay, now I was asking that you should tell us some of your experiences. Like, what country would you say is your best country? What is the best country, rather, that you visited so far, and what was your worst?
I've visited a number of countries. Which one would be the best?
We want to know the best and the worst.
Well, obviously, number one is Eswatini. The best country I think that I visited was Morocco.
Okay.
There were lots of cultural activities that I experienced. I said in Africa, other than Eswatini, Morocco was one of my best countries that I visited.
Okay.
There were lots of cultural activities, and there were lots of places which are historical because I kind of like history to understand how they lived, etc. As for Europe, I think I've enjoyed visiting Italy. Looking at the history, the sculptures, etc., has been very good, and I think they are excelling. When it comes to Asia, I think Indonesia it's on the top of my list. The Americas, California was one of the best. Yeah, I think I'll end there for now.
So, okay, what bad experience have you had being a tourist?
The bad experience, oh my goodness me. Yo. I'm used to sunny conditions because Eswatini is sunny, good weather conditions. When I go to a particular country which I won't mention, it was so snowy. I said, my God, I will not come back.
Right, so bad weather condition. Right. Okay, cool. All right. So, how would you say tourism has evolved over the last few decades? All right, cool. I was asking you how tourism has evolved over the last few decades.
Tourism has really evolved, particularly because of good communications, airlines, ship, cruises, etc. I mean, Before, there were no cruises except to wander around looking for minerals and whatever, and other things, just exploring the whole world. I think now you see some cruises going all over the world. You see airlines, you see commercial airlines, as well as a number of things that has made us to connect to each other. But I think also the issue of social media has really enabled us to visit places that we wouldn't visit before. Because when those activated, then we want to get there. So I think it has really evolved. When you're in Africa, you're only thinking about Africa. When you're in Eswatini, you're only thinking about Eswatini. But now you're already thinking about other African countries, the Europe, Asia, etc., etc. So it has really evolved. But also the features that you see in some of these countries. If you had been there 5 years before, you come after 5 years, you see, wow, this has now changed. So the evolution is really there.
Tourism has really evolved from the last few decades. Okay, what are your final words, or what would you say to the African governments in terms of tourism?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think the first thing for me is this visa regime. It is very disturbing to find that you are traveling to a country, you are told you don't have a visa. Meanwhile, you want to visit that country. For me, if we're to be opened when it comes to visas as a policy, I think would help a lot. Yes, there are certain things security issues that we need to look at, but all in all, the people that are naughty, they will be able to bypass all of this. So why actually curtail those people who really want to visit those particular countries? Why distract them to travel so that at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, they will be looking at their passports and say, I traveled to country 1, country 2, country 3, country 5. And so for me, the issue of visa is one that is very challenging. The second one, I think, from country's perspective, is the issue of safety. Because I think safety is number one. When you reach there, you want to be sure that you are safe. The third one is, let's improve our communication, the networks, etc. Because when you get to a particular country, you want to send immediately information to where you come from to say, hey, I'm safe, I'm fine. You want to send your selfie, you want to send whatever to show that you are there, the place is good, hospitable, etc., etc. So for me, the visa, the safety, as well as the communications are my top priorities to governments, to make sure that we get into the 5G, 5C, 6G, if there is going to be one. We make sure that people who arrive, they are taken good care of, warmly welcomed, they are safe, and then the issue of the visa being aligned to particularly to your neighboring countries, as well as to the outside world, would do a lot to our governments.
Hello there. Looking for an African movie? Search no further. Clevenard African Movies TV is here for you. We are dedicated to the acceleration of African films, TV series, documentaries, and lots more. Explore our movies at home or on the go. Clevenard Movies is free to watch on clevenard.com. Don't miss this opportunity. Hurry now. Sign up and subscribe today.
So what are your final words for us today?
My final words are this. One, thank you very much to get this opportunity where we can share the things that were not known about Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. and to say Eswatini is ready for tourists from all over the world. We want to warmly welcome them, particularly after COVID. Also, Africa is looking forward to the tourists arriving from afar and beyond to actually visit Africa. It's a good place to be in. And also to say countries must evolve when it comes to tourism. The tourist attractions, the products must be improved now and then to make sure that what you observed 5-10 years ago will now be different. Eswatini is ready for you. Eswatini wants to welcome you, and we want to make sure that when you come, you get that hospitality that you will not even get where you come from. We are ready for you. We want to see you. If you have got any problems, I am readily available to assist you to make sure that you are hospitable in the country. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to this audience, and I hope that I can feature even again to tell you about new things in the near future, obviously within the next 3 months. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Moses Vilakati. It was nice having a conversation with you.
Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
And thank you. Thank you. And thank you to our audience on Clevenat TV in Diaspora. This was Unfiltered Conversation. And I am Lola Oladokun, and I'll see you next time.
In our language.